Welcome, everybody, and thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight. We appreciate that, and we appreciate each and every one of you. We have new folks with us tonight, and we have some folks who are with us every single time we have a meeting, and we truly appreciate both. As always, I have to go through our housekeeping rules, which some of you are here all the time are probably nauseated by hearing, but unfortunately I have to do it every time because we have new people every time. And so I want to remind you, turn your cell phones off if they're not already, or at least turn them down so we don't hear everyone trying to call you. We do not allow any video or audio recording of the meetings. We do have audio recording that we will send out to everyone on our social media and our emails. We are on all the social media channels, so if you are not partaking of our social media channels, there's a QR code at the back on our table or at every door. You can scan those and you can get on our social media. We do have to vacate the building by 9 o'clock tonight, so I know everybody's going to want to hang out and talk, which is great, so we should have enough time for that if we all stay on track, and then leave by 9. Once again tonight, I want to thank our events committee for putting together this event. They do a great job with it every single time we have an event of any type. And I also want to thank the STN Communications Committee for putting together all of the information that they sent out about this, from our ad in the Town and Country, although we only had one instead of two. Larry apologized profusely for that, but we also had everything going on our social media channels and our emails to all of you guys, so hopefully you've seen all of those. Also, we do have info cards. We have yard signs. Please take them. We have yard signs not only for STN, but our candidates that are here with us tonight. So if you are willing and able to put that up for them, they would appreciate it greatly, I'm sure. And we always value your thoughts and your ideas. So please, if you have any ideas, thoughts, contributions that you'd like to make to us, you can leave them with anyone in leadership here. Anybody you see running around, cleaning up afterwards, they're part of our leadership team. How many of you guys are here for the first time tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep them up, keep them up. Yeah, our speaker is. I know that. And how many of you guys, other than our speaker, heard about the event or learned about it on social media? Anybody? Newspaper? We got 3. That's a given. How about through our emails? Good, good. So we're getting the word out, and we're doing our best to do that as well. We also have spent a lot of time and effort on updating our website. So if you haven't used it, please do. Our website was valuable to people exceptionally valuable during the COVID period, because we had on there, which was put together by our attorney, a foolproof religious exemption form, and we had people from all over the country literally using that form. And the reason was because our attorney is pretty sharp, and he's a healthcare attorney specifically, and he included EEOC regs that they had to comply with relative to, a lot of these companies, when you said you had a religious exemption, they would just kind of say, yeah, sure, or you got to prove it. The EEOC has specific guidelines and regulations about how that's supposed to be handled, and if they didn't handle it appropriately, you could file a complaint with the federal government. And so a lot of people used that and were successful in getting out of losing their jobs and other things. Tonight we have our committee members with us, and I want to take some time to acknowledge each and every one of these hardworking committees for what they do for you and through STN. Each one of our committees are really the backbone of who STN is, and I feel strongly about supporting them with everything they do and being able to allow them to demonstrate to you every month what they're in the midst of and what they're doing. So our first committee chairman is the head of our Second Amendment Committee. Now, as you know, our second core value is our constitutional framework, and we feel strongly about each one of our rights through our Constitution Constitution, but our Second Amendment is one that we feel extremely strongly about because it is one that allows us and helps us to maintain our freedom. So Gary Wolf heads our Second Amendment Committee, and Gary's got a lot of information that he wants to share with you tonight about what's going on in that realm.
Hello, everyone, especially the newcomers. So for those who are new and don't know what we do a lot of educational training on safe gun usage. We do live fire classes. And most of the time when I'm up here every month, you get to hear me drabble on about all the gun legislation that's happening either at the state or at the federal level. Well, tonight we're going to mix things up a little bit. But before I do that, again, keep in mind that May 20th is the primary. Make sure that you vote for Josh Prince. He's the best gun attorney in the state, running for Commonwealth Court Judge, and his sidekick, Maria Batista, who's running for Superior Court Judge. So get out and vote. But tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little fun tonight for a couple minutes that I got. We're going to honor moms and moms-to-be. Okay, so Nick just fired up what we're going to do here. Now, keep in mind that it sounds contradictory, but one of the ways that you can show your love for your mom of any kind is to get her a handgun. It sounds really weird, but think about it. You can buy her flowers, a nice bouquet of roses. They quickly die. Not much of a really good way to show how your love for her. You can take her out to an overpriced dinner. All you really get are credit card receipts. Or you can buy mom a handgun, because a handgun is saying, you are the most important person in my life, and wherever you go, I want you to come home to me and the kids safely every night, okay? So, but if getting a handgun is not your cup of tea, or as I put it, pulls your trigger, we have a couple of ideas for Mother's Day gifts that do not involve a background check, okay? The first one is, Nick's gonna hit the slide, is a concealed carry handbag. Now, this lavender colored one is from Gun Totin' Mamas, pretty good website for women, a lot of self-defense stuff. This particular lavender colored one was voted the #1 handbag by NRAwomen.org, okay? So again, it has a separate pouch. This happens to be my wife's. Okay, it's got a separate pouch, and only the firearm goes in it. No lipstick, no mascara. Some have the pouches inside, some have one on either side, so it's ambidextrous, but that's my wife's, and she takes it with us whenever we go out to someplace classy, okay? The next item is going to be a safe, particularly if you have little ones in the house, grandkids or even your own kids. Now, that particular model has a 4-digit PIN, just like your ATM card. One of the best things you can do is use a child's birth date as a reminder as to PIN. Now, if you happen to have multiple kids in the house, pick the one that has the most potential and create that PIN number. Notice there's also a little silver key lock on the right side. This one here is a little bit cheaper. That one goes for about 150 bucks. This one's a little cheaper. And inside, you can barely see there's a cable. This cable is designed to go around the seat post of the driver's seat of your car. So you can shove this underneath the seat if you're going into the mall, okay? But again, absolutely lock up a firearm if you have little kids in the house, okay? Third item is going to be what we call a cert gun. I have one. It's 100% safe. The reason it's 100% safe is it shoots a laser beam. Anybody who's attended any of my classes on the side has seen me use this for practicing technique. As you can see, every time I squeeze the trigger, it's no noise. So as the coffee's brewing in the morning, you can get your practice session in before it's done, and you can pretend you're actually Rob, the Navy SEAL who took out Osama bin Laden with a double tap. So you can practice that, okay? And the last item I just recently picked up, and this one here, if you go back one more, go backwards, Nick, there. Whoops, they're out of order then, but keep going. Anyway, it's a pillow, okay? Now, my daughter spotted this, and she goes, what's that, Gun and Roses? I didn't realize that at the time, but yeah, it is. Now, you can order just the pillowcase at $19.95 or the entire one with the pillow in it for $29.95. And the best part about it is it's got a target on the back. So if you buy that cert gun or use a cert gun or even dry fire your handgun at home, you can get your practice session in, particularly if you're working in an office environment and you take the pillow and you set it along the side chair, you can turn it around, and then your coworkers are going to ask, what the heck is that? Okay? So those are just some of the things that make great Mother's Day gifts. The only one on that list that was extremely expensive was the safe, okay? So happy Mother's Day to all the moms and moms-to-be in the audience, because again, we won't have another meeting until after Mother's Day has passed. All right? Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate you, and I appreciate what your committee has done. Next, we have an individual coming up who has put a massive amount of work into a number of different projects, along with his committee, who is a very dedicated committee as well. Scott Emmert chairs our state legislative committee, and Scott's committee has been doing a number of different things on a state and local level to kind of move things forward. Scott, we'll call it that.
Thanks, That's great, Gary. I really enjoyed that. I didn't even think about Mother's Day. That's how bad I am. I want to just give an update of what we're focused on right now at the State Legislative Committee. I hope everyone can see that. This writing's a little small. We're going to talk quickly about the Dropbox watching, talk a little bit about Josh and Maria's campaigns, and then just wanted to point out a website that's really valuable to keep track of what's happening within the state by our two legislators. You can actually check all the legislators if you like, but it's a really cool tool that they've updated. So as far as the Dropbox watching, I don't know, I believe most of you probably know there's a Dropbox over at the park, the Green Lane Park. And there's a group, a countywide effort actually to watch, I think there's 18 Dropboxes here in the county now. I think they picked up 1 or 2 in the last election. So they have an ongoing effort. And I have actually a QR code that I'll pass around that you can scan, and it'll take you right to the sign-up sheets. They're like in 2-hour time periods, and they're looking for volunteers. They actually started watching the box yesterday, so you can sign up and watch that Dropbox if you'd like. There are documents here too I'll pass around that kind of give the guidance, and there's a person to contact. The next thing that I want to mention is Josh Prince and Maria Baptista are running for the judgeships here, 2 different judges, Superior Court judge for Maria, and Josh is running for a Commonwealth Court. Neither of them are the GOP endorsed candidates, so they're going to need a lot of help at the polls to be recognized that they're valuable individuals running for office. And any neighbors of yours that you'd like to help get the word out and let people know that these are really quality individuals, and if you need any type of material, I can provide that. We're going to have signs. We couldn't have them for tonight, but I should have them in the next couple days. But we're specifically looking for poll greeters. We have 426 precincts in Montgomery County and 306 different poll locations. So we'd like to have 100% covered. I don't know that we'll get there, but as you can imagine, we'll need at least 306 people to cover all those polls. So we're looking to get as many people as we can here in the valley and throughout the rest of the county. So if you're interested, or if you know someone who may be interested in doing that, that would be absolutely awesome. We could use your time part of the day, all day. Some people spend all 13 hours there, which is really a great contribution. Now, we would have liked to have Maria here. She could not make it, but she was kind enough to send a recording here.
My name is Maria Baptista, and I am a candidate for the Pennsylvania Superior Court. Thank you for this opportunity for me to speak with you. As we have seen, especially over the last few years, our courts are vitally important to us. If we overlook them, we do so at our own peril and that of our Commonwealth and this great nation. What each of you should want, should you need to go to court at the local level or at the appellate level, including our Supreme Court, is that you have a fair opportunity to be heard, and the judges on these courts are fair and impartial, and keep politics out of the courtroom. In addition, people want a judge to uphold the law and the Constitution and not make new law. That is the role of our legislature. The Superior Court is one of 2 intermediate courts in this Commonwealth, and the judges on that court hear criminal matters and most civil cases, including those involving families and children. My professional background is very diverse in law, education, and government. I have handled criminal matters as an assistant district attorney. I have handled many of the civil cases, if appealed, that would go to the Superior Court. I also had the honor of serving under Governor Tom Corbett in his administration in both the Departments of Health and State. While in the Department of State, I was a hearing examiner where I issued hundreds of decisions. The skills required of a hearing examiner are the same skills that are necessary for a judge on the Superior Court. In terms of electability, I am battle tested, as I was a candidate for the Superior Court in 2023. I have name recognition and a network across this great Commonwealth. As you can see from this map beside me, everything in yellow is where I came in first place with 4 candidates for 2 seats on the Superior Court in 2023. I came in first place in 52 of 67 counties. This map indicates why I can win in 2025. I only lost by 1.39%, with my race too close to call in 2023. The May 20th primary is just around the corner. I am number 1 on the ballot, and I humbly ask for your support for my candidacy for Judge of the Superior Court. Thank you so much.
So please be sure, as Gary already said, be sure to get out and vote on the 20th, and encourage all your friends and neighbors to get out and vote. And remember both Josh Prince and Maria Batista. The last thing I wanted to cover is the new website that the Pennsylvania legislature just created and put up. What's really cool about this is here I have Representative Malou McKenzie's information pulled up, and in these circles you can see what bills they actually were the primary sponsor or else co-sponsored, and then when you scroll down you can go to those individual bills. So you can see really the amount of activity that they're doing and the efforts they're putting forward. Unfortunately for Malou, since she's in the House and the House is controlled by the Democrats, very few of her bills are advanced beyond a committee. But you can see she's putting in a lot of effort. And then I also have Tracy's same type of concept, so you can get a good idea of what they're working on, what bills they're proposing, and you can, send them, drop them a line to thank them for all their efforts periodically. Have one more thing that I just got tonight, and I don't know much about it, but I'm going to pass it around. I talked to a gentleman who's working on a Veterans and First Responders Committee. They're doing free haircuts for veterans and first responders down at Father Judge High School on May 18th. And they're supporting, and they need help. They would like anybody who would volunteer to help out. I assume they're not going to ask you to cut hair, but they probably will have some other opportunity for you. And also they're raffling off baskets. So if you are able to create a basket and donate it to them, they'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. And, one thing that Scott mentioned, and I think it's really important for us to remember, this election that we have coming up is a quote-unquote minor election. But it's really not a minor election because we're electing local officials, and we need help. Across the state, we need poll workers. We just don't have enough because people aren't stepping up. And it doesn't take that much. As Scott said, you can volunteer for a short period of time and just support the individuals that you feel strongly about in this election. The other thing you have to remember is next time around, how many of you guys feel good about what's happened so far nationally, right? What I'm seeing is complacency because of that. People are kind of sitting back and they're saying everything's good. We got it under control. But there are those who don't like the way it is, and they are working really hard right now. Financially, they're raising buku bucks, and they're getting people organized. We cannot sit back, because if the next cycle is lost, what you see right now is over. So I really feel strongly about that, and I can't overemphasize it. So next, I want to invite Sally Worth up, and Sally leads STN's prayer team. That is the team that holds everything together here in this organization. I went over Sally's prayer list the other day, and it's amazing, really, how God's working through this team and through this organization as a result of that. So, this girl doesn't stop. I'm telling you right now. Sally stopped in at my office the other day, and she left a couple things for me, one of which were these. These are cutouts of the ad that was in the Town and Country. And what she does is she takes those and she gives them to people when she sees them and says, come on out to this meeting. So, you know, I went out this past weekend and met with somebody on Friday, and I had these in my pocket, and I saw about like 3 or 4 people in the restaurant where we were eating. And I said, you know what? Here, have one of these. It's Sally's idea, but I think it's a great idea. So, Sally, if you could give us an indication as to where you guys are with the prayer team and what's going on, we would appreciate that too.
Good evening, everybody. Okay, the one thing we do is the second Thursday of each month, the Upper Perkiomen School Board has their meeting. So a couple of us get together and we just pray. The school board meeting starts at 7, but we get together about 6:15 and just pray. And we really need to pray. And we invite anybody that would like to join us. There's a lot going on in the school board. We campaigned for 3 conservatives last year. And these 3 conservatives are being given a hard time, especially one. So we attend the meeting and then we speak up. So this is just one thing that we do. So we meet, I have the address here, I don't trust my memory, on the Education Center on Buck Road. And we meet behind the building, way back towards the townhouses. And we meet there about 6:15, the second Thursday of every month. And the next school board meeting is the 8th of May. And then I've been telling my team that I'm getting an updated prayer list together. Well, I finally did it. So I see they're all sitting in the front row here. So they're each going to get a list. So just thank you.
Thank you, Sally. And recognizing what this gal does. I mean, she helps Scott with his state legislative committee. She does the prayer team. She is there anytime we need something. Sally is there. And, you know, this whole thing with the prayer around a flagpole at the school board meetings, that was started by an individual down in Bucks County, Ken Stracuzzi. And I just sent Ken an email the other day because he sends an email out inviting everybody to their prayer around the flagpole every month. And I said, could I have Sally get in touch with you and give her your information so that we can get our information on your emails that go out. This is the cooperative effort that we're trying to do with other organizations around the state to be able to synergize what we do with others. And I think that's a critical component of who we are as well. Next, I want to invite Michelle Morey to come up. Michelle chairs our events committee, and Michelle has put together so many great events, she and her team, on the events committee, including this one tonight. So thank you, Michelle.
All right, I'm going to keep it short. So, welcome Rob and Bob from Light Duty. So happy that you're here tonight. Really excited to have you just make us more aware of the atrocities that are happening with human trafficking. Next month is the exciting month. We have our scholarship. We did notify the winner of from Upper Perk High School. We have not heard anything from Faith Christian Academy, so if you know anybody there, give them a nudge. I have contacted them, so hopefully we'll get somebody from there as well. And we are looking into some other events that STN is going to be able to hold over the next few months or longer, some different types of things. So keep aware. And I just forgot about this one. We also have next month not only our scholarship winner, but also Rosalind Ross Williams from Americans for Prosperity. She'll be here to speak as well. And we are hoping to be at an event in Plymouth meeting on May 17th, but we do need some volunteers to man that table. So if anybody's available to represent STN, please reach out to Doug or myself or any of the events team, Joe or Lori or David. And I think that's all I got for you right now. Thank you. Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, well, there we go. So Rebecca would be a great one to reach out to as well, but for the STN table. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you. We'll look for that then.
Thanks, Michelle. And again, this is a committee that makes everything happen that we do, so I want to appreciate them as well. So tonight, our guest speaker, is an individual who I came to know in an interesting way. It was an interesting path, actually. It's amazing how God's hand is in everything that we do. Oh, yes. Should I watch the agenda? Should I keep my eye on that? Yeah. Okay, Rob, hang in there. Sorry. So we do have two individuals here tonight. I apologize to you guys, who are running for local, different candidacies, but for local offices, one of whom is running for school board and one of whom is running for mayor in East Greenville. So I'm going to invite them to come up individually and give a little information about who they are and what they're doing. I think we'll do ladies before gentlemen, if that's okay. Nora, I came to meet through others who support Nora, and I also got some information about Nora as we spoke, one of which is that she's a mother of 4, and as you will see, soon to be a mother of 5, who feels very strongly about the school district and the system as it is. She feels that there are things that she would like to see changed, perhaps, and aligned more with her beliefs. So, Nora, I'm going to ask you to come up and speak with everyone for a moment.
The stairs. Okay. Hello, welcome. Thank you, Doug. Thank you all for being here this evening. My name is Nora Traben. I am running for Upper Perk School District School Board. I am a resident of Green Lane. I live there with my family, mother of 4, soon to be 5. I grew up down the road in Gilbertsville. I'm a Boyertown graduate, so I know this community. I love this community. I'm really hoping and praying for the opportunity to serve this community in the capacity of school board. I went to the University of Pennsylvania. I have my Master's of Science in Education. I like to joke that was a communist training ground, so I have seen the blueprints of the enemy. I have seen firsthand experience as an elementary classroom teacher the incredible amount of waste that is happening in our schools, not only in terms of these failed initiatives of DEI, diversity, equity, of inclusion, SEL, social emotional learning. We're talking about the top-down waste, administrative costs, teachers' unions. These are cuts that need to be made. We need more tangible materials into teachers' and students' hands, in front of them, that they can use, that they can be successful with through measurable objectives. No more of these fluffy, shiny, new age opportunities for students to talk about social emotional learning or the DEI initiatives. We need to move past that. We need to have common sense when it comes to budgeting and our children. Also, we need to get a strong hand on AI. Like it or not, it is here to stay. We need a clear and concise written objective for what happens when students are using AI inappropriately and those consequences. Like I said, we need to come together as a community and realize those realities and get those implemented into the classroom immediately. Also, we need to vet all teachers. I can't believe I'm up here saying that. We need to make sure that these teachers are fully vetted, that we are putting safe and capable individuals in front of students. No more letting these teachers resign so that we can pass the trash and that they go to another district to harm more children. We need to make sure that we are being thoughtful about who we are choosing to be in front of our children every day. And we need to be fully aware as a community some of the things that are happening that allow these criminals, for lack of a better term, in front of our children. I want to reiterate what Doug said earlier. We are fat and happy as conservatives at the time being on the national level. We cannot afford to be complacent this election cycle. They are ready. They are in the wings, ready to pounce at the local level. Please, 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 May 20th, come out and vote. Bring your neighbors, bring your friends. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
So what do you think? Confident, well-educated, conservative, articulate? I mean, that's what we need. We need more people running who have those qualifications. So we have another one who has those qualifications that's here with us tonight, who's running for East Greenville mayor. Now, this is an individual I met through a pastor who mentors me. I have a number of them who do that for this organization. And he mentioned this gentleman's name. And so I contacted him, and he contacted me, and we went out to breakfast, and we learned about each other. And I think he's a good guy for the position. So I'm going to ask Steve Granger to come up and give you some indication as to who he is and what he's all about as well.
Like Like Dr. Pfeiffer said, my name is Steve Granger. I live in East Greenville. I've lived in East Greenville for over 25 years. My lovely wife, Diane, is sitting here in the audience, and she's supporting me. One thing I am not is a politician. I've seen my share of politicians in East Greenville. I have seen mayors come and go who are suffering from their personal ambitions and candidates that quit when things get tough. Well, I want to put an end to that. Some of the things that I am a follower of Jesus. I am a conservative. I am a servant. And it seems like most of my life I've always served people, whether it was in the military. I'm an 11-year veteran of the Navy. I serve on the East Greenville Planning Commission. My wife and I co-founded the Upper Perk Homelessness Coalition. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but we opened a Code Blue shelter in Pennsburg, which this was our first year and very successful year, and we are glad of that. We want to do greater things next year. One thing my goal as mayor would be to listen to the people more, to be a mayor of the people, to implement ideas that would benefit the people of East Greenville. How many people here live in East Greenville? Anybody? Oh, talking to an empty crowd. Oh, well, how many people know people that live in East Greenville? There you go. Okay, so spread the word, okay? So I want to be a mayor of the people. I want to implement ideas that benefit the people. I want to do away with the partisan politics that has plagued our borough. If an idea comes from either side, whether it's from a Democrat or a Republican, if it's a good idea, if it's a conservative idea, if it's filled with integrity and morality, then I would be for that. And if not, then I would vote against that. So I ask you to spread the word, ask people to vote for me. My name is Stephen J. Granger, and I'm not first on the ballot, so I have a tough row to hoe. So thank you for your listening.
Yeah, don't forget, when you go out and you're campaigning, it doesn't matter whether you're preaching to the choir, because choir has a lot of friends, family, and relatives that they'll talk to about you. So it's always important just to get your face out and make sure people know who you are and what you stand for. Real quick tonight, I want you to understand that STN was started to fill a void that exists in the legislature, a void that exists in churches, unfortunately, today. And what we're here for is to move his word forward. To that end, I'll remind you that we're fully dependent on donations for STN. And we feel that the support that we've received from so many of the individuals who come out to our group has allowed us to do the things that you've heard about tonight, to be able to support these folks, to be able to do the agendas that people like our state legislative chairman and their committee have done to get people out to vote. That's far from all we stand for, as you're going to hear tonight. We stand for a lot of other things besides those legislative issues, but we feel strongly about that as well. So I thank you for your support, and Joe, here's mine for this month. Thank you very much. We appreciate you guys. It'll fit in there, I know it does. Yeah. So let's start where I left off, our guest speaker tonight. And so what happened was we feel strongly about the whole sex trafficking, human trafficking situation. Those of you who read our ad understand that this country leads by probably about a 7-fold number over any other country relative to human trafficking. And Pennsylvania is high up on that list as well. So it's an important issue, and it's something that we feel strongly about in opposition. I did contact an individual who we had come out and speak previously about this. It's Kelly Nair, for those of you who were with us for that meeting. Kelly was unavailable, but she forwarded me to an individual that she thought might be able to help us. So I contacted Rob and was I asked him, the first thing I think I said to you is, are you related to Bob Neiderheiser? And this is where the God part comes in. He responded in the affirmative and said Bob was his father. You see, Bob and I are both chiropractors, and Bob and I have known each other for probably 40 years. And so we've come full circle, the way God's put this all together, and puts me in contact with Rob and his ministry. So Rob's story began in 2023 when his life took a very profound switch and change after hearing the horrific story of an individual who had survived human trafficking. And he was compelled to really start a whole new journey in his life and answer God's call to him. Up to that point, Rob's training and occupation was in law enforcement, which it still is, his full-time job today. However, at this point, Rob has committed his life to driving meaningful change and kind of education, I would say, in the realm of victim advocacy and prevention. Rob's dad and I spent decades working in the field of prevention in healthcare, and I fervently believe that prevention is certainly worth more than an ounce of cure, as the saying goes. But Rob and his organization, Light Duty Ministries, sheds light in the dark and this helpless world of child exploitation and human trafficking. So now I want to invite Rob to come up and give us more insight into this whole journey that he's taking. Wherever you want to be, Rob.
So thank you for having me here, and thank you, Doug and Michelle, for setting this up. I'm going to be talking about some heavy stuff, so if anybody gets alarmed, I'm not going to be offended if you leave. They could catch your breath. It's not going to be too crazy, but we're just going to go over some terminology and stuff. Again, how I got started, ended up back in 2023 in February listening to a human trafficking survivor my age. Both grew up in the 80s, seemed like a safe time. She lived pretty close to where I lived and was explaining to me how she was trafficked by her father using the CB radio through a truck stop from the age of 6. So that really resonated with me. The following day, I ended up having a Zoom training, and the training was from the Department of Homeland Security, but it wasn't with human trafficking per se. It had to deal with security issues, and then they go, oh, well, we have this guy from Pennsylvania Department of Homeland Security. He's going to talk about human trafficking today, and I'm like, that's twice. And like literally in 25 years, I have not had anything with human trafficking. In fact, through the academy, anything. And I'll explain to you as my presentation goes on that not one time did human trafficking come up in 25 years in law enforcement. So this is twice. So finally, day 3, I'm sitting at the table at breakfast, and I'm like, God, if this is something that you're trying to tell me that you want me to get into, like, you have to make it obvious. Make it so obvious, because I'm a little slow on the uptake, so you got to make it really loud. 11 o'clock that day, I get a text message from a friend. I want you to be on my board. We're going to start an emergency rescue home in our area, and it'll be the second one in Pennsylvania. But at that point, we were just like, it was a pie in the sky idea. So we go to meet with the victim witness coordinator for the district attorney's office, and we said, hey, we don't want to duplicate services. Do any of the women's centers or shelters, are they doing any of this stuff? She goes, nope, you're it. And so we're like, okay, so good news is that we're not stepping on anybody's toes. Bad news is we're it. So I started getting into helping her with Learning to Love Beloved Ministries, starting this rescue home. We ended up getting a home donated to us, and in the process of the year, we end up becoming fully funded, and it's now supposed to reopen or reopen in late this year or early 2026 to be fully functional and ready to go to receive people. Second in Pennsylvania. So officers, if they get them, they can take it to the shelter, and she's also Christian-based, and she'll house them for the first 0 to 30 days, and then we get them in long-term care. So as I'm working with her, I'm still troubled by the fact that yes, we're restoring victims, but what are we doing what we call left of bang? Like when things are happening and the prevention end of things. So God spoke to me and said, I want you to do this. And at the time, I'm like, you got the wrong guy. I felt like Moses. I'm like, I stutter. I'm not a public speaker. I don't have the credentials. Needs to be some kind of a detective. And he's like, no, it's you. And so he tells me in my prayer that I'll open the doors. You just have the courage to walk through them. And I'm telling you, it was amazing. Over the past year and a half, 2 years, he has gave me or put in my path with a computer crimes expert guy is on my team. the victim witness coordinators on my team. We have the probation officer who oversees all sex offenders on our team, and another officer from the southern tip of our county. And now we have Bob who's here tonight. He just recently joined our team. He's a former ER nurse for 30 years and Army Ranger. So that was a great addition for medical team. So in the time period, we worked with our state rep on the Clean Slate 3.0 bill. Ended up talking to, he's Rob Ledbetter, in I think it was 2023, and I said, hey, Rhode Island just passed this bill, Clean Slate, about restoring crime victims. It takes everything that they've been forced to do throughout their time of being trafficked and wipes everything clean. I sent him, he goes, yeah, send me the stuff. So we sent it to him. He ended up working with Kathleen Kunkel to get that carved out piece into the bill. So we worked with legislation, and we also are now working with the DA's office in Columbia County for the first ever human trafficking and exploitation response team. So that will be called by officers and smaller departments who need help prosecuting these crimes. We end up bringing in another group called Lantern Rescue. They do international domestic rescues. This is another God moment. They're also Christian-based. We got connected through training, and as I'm talking to Corinne and Clint, they said, well, Corinne's they do the rescues, but she's also an ADA. And she said, if you need help prosecuting, I will do it pro bono for your DA's office because this troubles me so much. She said, and also Clint, her husband, testifies as an expert witness, and we all know how much that costs, free. He said, I will also prep your jury, when I do my expert testimony, I prep the jury as to what to expect with a testimony when the victims are in there. They also are training law enforcement area for free, which is, all that's just incredible. So to get into the presentation, does everybody know the difference between smuggling and trafficking off the top? So smuggling is more geographic. Sometimes people think human trafficking has to deal with moving the person from point A to point B. But human trafficking can be a grade school age girl or middle school age girl being trafficked by her mother in her own home. She goes to school, comes home, mom sells her for drugs or money just out of that house. And in fact, in Pennsylvania, it's a little less than half. It's like 47%. It's familial trafficking. So different forms of trafficking, escort services, as we know, illicit massage parlors, that is really prevalent in our area. Typically, if you see a massage parlor and all the windows are covered and it's open till 10 p.m., more than likely that's a massage. It's a trafficking. Residential sex trafficking, outdoor solicitation, strip clubs, pornography. Pornography is number 2. Pornography is number 2 for trafficking. Restaurants, food services for labor, agriculture, hotels and hospitality, landscaping, domestic servitude, commercial cleaning, labor trafficking, yes. Factories, manufacturing, remote interactive sexual acts. That's a big one for overseas. The people here pay money, $20. The guy from Pennsylvania Department of Homeland Security explained he had one where it was for like $25. He could have the woman in the house. You could pretty much have her do anything to the children. After my January presentation, I had a crisis counselor come up to me, and she's a Christian counselor, and she said, Rob, we have a huge ritual abuse problem in our area. And I'm like, ritual abuse? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I thought that was something that was just in Africa or like overseas. And she's like, I have dealt with so many ritual abuse through satanic and other practices just in our area in Columbia County. So I put that on there as one of the higher end ones. So this is a breakdown. I know it's pretty hard to see. This is from data from Polaris Project and the Human Trafficking Hotline of how many cases they receive in 1 year. As far as the breakdown, the biggest ones, obviously escort services and just outdoor solicitation and massage is a big one, like we said before. This is the hotspot map. I have one from PASIC that I showed to law enforcement. It'll actually show just in Pennsylvania the hotspot areas on the map in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, I can't show that to the general public, but it's all along the interstate corridors. So if it's on the interstate corridors, why do you think that is? Right, commercial traveling. So numbers behind human trafficking. This is the stuff when I first got into it that just blew my mind. 49.6 million victims trapped in trafficking around the world globally. That includes labor, sex, trafficking, everything. Estimated global profits, it used to be 150 billion when I got into this. This is just recent, according to Hope for Justice, it's 245 billion estimated, with 169.9 billion being sexual, 75.9 being forced labor. It is the fastest growing criminal industry, second only to drug trafficking. Pennsylvania hotline These are our numbers. 606 signals were received in 2023. 141 of those signals were received from victims of human trafficking. 220 cases were identified as trafficking, and 469 victims were found to be involved in those cases. So the reason I put this picture on here is because I know when I grew up, my mom or my parents always told me to watch out for the weird guy in the white van with don't pet puppies, don't accept candy. That has now changed. It's right here. So this right here, yes, it's great for communication for your children, grandchildren, but this also connects them to every terrorist in the world, every pedophile in the world, and there's an average of 500,000 pedophiles online at any given moment. So recruitment and grooming, this is the biggest thing. For online or in person. But generally, most of the grooming goes online. They target the victim, the trafficker identifies the vulnerability, finds the emotional needs and low self-confidence or economic stress factors, and they exploit that. They usually gain trust, so they'll pose as a friend on online games. Could be an adult male, and they pose as a 12-year-old kid. They have voice synthesizers. They can do all this through computers. So they gain trust, they traffic piles information about the victim through conversations on the chat rooms, on games, and also through Snapchat or whatever. And then they begin to fill the need by buying them stuff, sending them stuff, and they'll, if it's a girl struggling with her self-esteem, they'll tell, oh, those people don't know what they're talking about, you're beautiful. Or if they're fighting with their parents, they begin to say, well, your parents don't know what you're talking about, like they're being oppressive, like you should have more freedom, there's no reason you should have to get off, your video games at 11. Then they begin the isolation process. They begin to pull them away from their family and pit them against whoever the stressor is, and then create distance. Then the abuse begins. They begin to meet them, and the trafficker demands repayment for any money spent on them and uses blackmail to force the victim into repayment through sex trafficking. So what's the profile of a trafficker? One of the main characteristics of a trafficker is their ability to exert control over the victims. This usually occurs through manipulation, coercion, or physical force. So force, fraud, or coercion are the three key leverages. Traffickers tend to be pathological liars, convincing the victim that they have their best interest in mind. Traffickers dehumanize their victims after they get them and refer to them as meat or cattle, using nicknames for victims instead of using their actual real names, and they brand them with tattoos signifying ownership. Traffickers are expert manipulators and often pretending to be romantically interested in the victim or pose as volunteers in communities. Who is a trafficker? Could be parents, family members, boyfriends, husbands, employers, drug dealers, gang members, organized crime, adoption, foster care. So these are some of the tattoos. You see property of or anything like that, the money sign, barcodes, that tends to be the trafficker, what they call the pimp. Risk factors, so that's what makes somebody vulnerable. History of prior physical or sexual abuse is very high. Runaways, this is something that law enforcement, like when I was in law enforcement, never even dawned on me, like to think that somebody who's a reoccurring runaway, that they are actually potentially an abuse victim. I never even suspected that. I just figured it was somebody who doesn't like rules, right? Substance use, mental health concerns, and recent migration or relocation. Experiencing poverty, involvement in the child welfare system is a risk. Family history, neglect, abuse, or substance abuse is very high. Foster care system or youth with intellectual or developmental disabilities. So like I said before, on the average, over 500,000 predators online at any given time. Predators will use the chat features on gaming and social media apps to pose as empathetic, understanding peers to gain the trust of kids and elicit the kids to provide them information that they can use against them. So they'll start in these chat rooms and they'll talk to the kid for 6 months to a year, and then before they can actually lure them out of the house. Between 2021 and 2023, there was a 300% increase of online enticement. Data reported the cyber tip line includes sextortion, which we'll go over, and nearly 40% of all kids have received cold solicitation for online or nude photos, and the age range is 8 to 17. Online cyber risk, 27% of 7 to 17-year-olds have come into harmful content online. 1 in 3 children have received links leading them to harmful content. 40% of children in ages 4 to 8, grades 4 to 8, admit to interacting with strangers online. 15% have tried to meet them. Despite 93% of parents discussing online safety, only 49% of the children aged 12 to 15 claim to have had these conversations. You're a teacher, right? So you know, you gotta have that conversation over and over again. That's what that tells me. I have 2 boys, and I bet you they gather probably 40% 20% of what I'm saying as they're going through, you know? So have the conversations, have them often. If you have grandchildren or children, keep having the conversations. Be open, but make it child-friendly at the child-friendly age. Same thing as a stranger danger. I tell my boys everything that's on this, just at a kid level, you know, that they can understand. That there's bad people, like not everybody has your best interest. Don't talk to strangers. If somebody wants to go on a gaming app with you, do not play with anybody you don't know. So these are the watch lists. This is from the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, and also social media and podcaster that's scrolling to death. She watches out for kids. The ones on the left are from the National Center of Exploitations, and the ones on the right from scrolling to death. In that box, those are the ones that are most harmful for children. So what they do is roadblocks. There's absolutely no controls. They call it a hellscape for kids. So they meet them on there, Snapchat. They'll have them jump to Telegram or Discord because it's encrypted. So then they get them to send the money through Cash App. So these are all the apps that they will talk kids. You might see the yellow box, Communications Decency Act of Section 230. Why is that up there? Well, that's the act that protects all the social media conglomerates and groups and gives them immunity from everything that happens on them. So that needs to be repealed because that gives them absolute immunity. They've been told by the lady from Scrolling to Death. She has gone there. Several politicians have brought this up. Yaku Buyan's who I'm in connection with, he went to a lot of these companies. They were on board at the beginning about changing their policies and making it more restrictive for kids, but then they found out how much money they were going to lose, and they're like, we can't do it, Yaku, sorry. So sextortion, we have seen this a lot, big uptick in this. Generally, this is more for the older kids. Sextortion is a threat to expose intimate photos, videos, if a victim does not give an offender what they want. Sextortion can occur between current or ex-partners. In 2022, reported 79% of sextortion cases were financially motivated. 85% of young adults and teens related embarrassment kept them from coming and getting help. So this is where that open line of communication with your kids pays off. Survivor advice on sextortion. Report the predator's account immediately. Block all potential methods of contact. Save every piece of information, no matter how embarrassing it is. Investigators need it. Contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. If they're under 17, there's takeitdown.org that will help them get those images online. I don't know the technical language behind it, but apparently each image has a coded thing that they can pick up on that code and then search the internet to scrub that clean. Cooperating with the predator's demands rarely ends the harassment, but law enforcement can help. If you cooperate and send them money, they're just going to want more. This is the most disturbing one, child sexual abuse material. Sexual abuse that is documented with photos and videos and then shared with others. In 2022, there were 87 million files of suspected CSAM reported, compared to just 4 million in 2017. The United States is the biggest producer and consumer of CSAM worldwide. This one's going to really, and if each of the 87 million files of suspected CSAM are reported to NCMEC in 2022 was represented by a letter-sized sheet of paper, they would cover the surface of an American football field 980 times. So abuse statistics, 1 out of 4 girls and 1 out of 6 boys will experience some form of sexual abuse before the age of 18. Due to the abuse, by its very nature being secretive, many of these cases will never be reported. 28% of teens between the age of 14 and 17 are sexually victimized. Children between the ages of 7 and 13 are the most vulnerable. 2 out of 3 child sexual abuse victims are between the age of 12 and 17. 91% of sexual abuse perpetrators are male, compared to just 9% being female. 93% of child sex abuse predators are someone known to the victim. 59% are friends or acquaintances, and 34% are family. So now what? Once you know the truth, you're never the same, so either you do something or do you just ignore it, which is pretty hard to ignore once you see it. Ooh, I need to go back. Okay, so indicators of human trafficking, when you see it in somebody, refusing to speak for themselves or afraid to answer questions. Usually have somebody with them that controls everything they say and do. They'll avoid eye contact, angry, belligerent, or emotional outbursts, fearful or submissive, anxious, resistant to help, unable to identify as a victim, which that's another misconception, is that when you come in contact, and I thought like, wow, when we come in contact with a victim, they're just going to run to the police and, oh, thank you for saving me, but a lot of them don't even know they're victims of trafficking. They're not in control of any personal identification. I've seen this in a lot of domestic cases as well. Story doesn't make sense or scripted, generally scripted. Someone else controls their money. Again, the tattoos of branding and ownership. Signs of stages of physical abuse. Bruising that's in different stages throughout their body. Generally in arms from grabbing and stuff. Drug and alcohol abuse because they're trying to numb the pain. This can be school-age people as well. Malnourished, not allowed to come and go at will. And unsure of the day, time, and year, and sudden unexplained expense offensive clothing. So in school, if you have a kid that comes from a rough background, also, and they have brand new cell phone and Air Jordans, that's usually a dead giveaway, that most cases. So how can you safeguard your children? Build and maintain healthy relationships with your children. Spend quality time together and check in often. There's nothing that can replace sitting around a dinner table. I can ask my kids on the way home in the car, so how was school? Good. Anything happen? Nope. Nothing happened. Nothing. Nope. We get on the dinner table. All of a sudden, the stories come out. I'm like, I thought you said nothing happened. Like, it was like, and so build healthy relationships. Remember the 93-49 principle, that 93% of parents had that conversation, but only half the information is getting in. Talk to children early and often about healthy relationships. Have the conversations about healthy, positive friendships and relationships, as well as dating, violence prevention, and about sending images. No matter, that's a big thing now. Apparently in schools, the sexting, sending nude images is very high. As far as the AI, it was 41% of kids knew somebody that had been deep faked with the nudes. Be vigilant about online safety. Know your child is doing online and giving them the guidelines for what is okay and what is not okay to share. Be sure to turn off location services. They have ways, if you see Snapchat, like if you're familiar with Snapchat, they can get on the map and it shows where you're at in the area. However, when they upload stuff, whether it's pictures or wherever they're streaming from, they can also find out, there's apps and programs that they can pay these offenders, that they can find out where most of the stuff is being uploaded, and they can find out where the child lives. Know the signs of trafficking may be occurring, like we talked about. Continue educating yourself about trafficking and child exploitation, because everything is changing. We know taking an electronic home, once you walk out of the store, that thing's dated. Same thing with this stuff. There'll be app resources here if you want to take a picture. The Bark app, that can cover your entire home or the phone, and that will flag any conversation, if it's gun or anything of violence or sexual stuff, and it restricts all the incoming stuff, and it sends a text message to your phone and lets you know, hey, your child has received this message. Protect young eyes. That's a gentleman who's in the tech industry. His kid was involved in some of this stuff, and he decided to be, vigilant and get it out to everybody else, and now he is proactive in fighting all this. He also goes to Washington and fights National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Polaris. Scrolling to death, she has stuff every day on Instagram, interviews. She also is a big advocate for online safety. International Crimes Against Children, Thorn for Parents, another good resource, and then our website. So this is such a big problem, what can I do? This is what I started out with, and I don't just want to give all these statistics, and then you lay in bed tonight thinking about everything, and it seems like such a big problem, and this is how we break it down. So do you have your cell phones with you? So this is the whole point of light duty. So if you're in law enforcement, or you're in a legal system, can you light your phone up, okay? So this is why we can't leave it up to the police only. We can't be complacent, just like the election, right? Do we have anybody in the medical field that can light your phone up? Anybody in nursing? How about educators? Anybody in the education system? Moms, light your phone up. Dads, grandparents, if you just care about kids. See, this is how we fix it. For order for evil to exist, darkness has to exist. And as long as all of our eyes are open and we're aware of what's going on, it has no place to hide. On the back of our shirts, it says we're lighting. Wherever light is, darkness has to flee. It comes from John 1:5. So darkness can't overcome it. So as long as we do our job, we stay educated, stay in good communication with your kids and grandchildren, ask them about, be the pain, be annoying. 93-49, remember that. And even if you have to do it in short bursts, because I don't hit my kids all at once, because they're like, but they know. And you can get all those restrictive stuff like Bark, but nothing's going to replace the personal stuff, because the one thing is, if this stuff does happen, you want to be the one that they come to. You don't want to be the one that they're afraid, I let my mom or my dad down or my grandparent down, and I can't go to them because they're going to be disappointed in me. No, you come to me. Make sure you come to me. I'm the one that's going to help you. And then we're going to the police. Any questions? So there's questions. Sure.
Anybody have a question for Rob?
I know it's a lot of information.
How much came 6, 7, 9 years old?
Well, they said, So they said COVID years were exploded, because everybody was in their own homes, and it kind of slowed things down. But then they figured out, we can hit them through the gaming apps and social media. And from what I've learned through my training, everything just skyrocketed through COVID years, and then it just never stopped. If you watch, there's bar graph, and it just shoots right up. 2020 spiked.
Hi, to piggyback off that, I'm all about parental choice and liberty and freedom. However, is there anything on the horizon from the legislative arena that is going to limit children being allowed to have cell phones and being issued a number. And
So I'm not paid or endorsed by Bark, but Bark has a phone. Bark has one that's very restrictive. They also have Bark watches for kids.
okay.
And that's the only thing that I know of out there. I know when you might put the parental features on these things, but kids do know how to defeat them. They're smarter with technology. So you check the phone, check your phone. There's a district attorney. I'm part of the Northeast PA Human Trafficking Task Force, and we have a DA there from I think it's Luzerne County. He was saying check your kid's phone. I don't care. If there's no privacy, you're paying for it. That's your child. You can't afford to give them that kind of leeway. My kids know they can be spot checked at any moment, and they're fine with it. They know, but just you have to create that environment.
Anybody else have any questions for Rob? Oh, hang on.
In the beginning, you were talking. I can talk pretty loud. I know, but it's got to be on. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. In the beginning, you were talking about a house. Was that like a halfway house to protect women or people that were exploited? Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, so it's like what we call an emergency rescue and rehabilitation home. So once they immediately come out of trafficking, whether on their own volition or through law enforcement interaction, we call Emily, who's the founder of it, and she then comes. So we keep it very secretive. It's in a very rural location. And she'll come to the police department, and then she's like the initial advocate. She's on our county trafficking response team as the victim side of it. And she'll come and she will speak to the women, and we give them, there's also another resource that will probably be available to you guys as well, called Fierce Love for Good out of Lewisburg. They collect these angel packs that are full of clothing, toiletries and stuff that women need, Bibles, and they'll give them out to law enforcement or victim advocates or churches for free. And we give them the angel packs. They get new stuff, clean clothes, they take the old stuff off, and they get to go to this emergency resource home.
Women that have come out of this kind of situation.
All right,
so maybe to network.
Yeah,
with you guys.
I'll plug you with Fierce Love for Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions anyone may have? Yep, Gary.
Rob, the information you provided is very informative, but quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of a website or a source place where we can go if we want to gather more information on our own to have these talks with those we love?
Yeah, so basically all the ones I put up there, what I do with my website with Light Duty is we have a police one, a family, and a child section, and it's how to talk to your child, and then that directs you to Yaku's website, because it's a video recording of him telling you how to speak to your children. There are different sites. There's actually ones with from NECMEC, and it's for children, and it literally is cartoon based that they can watch, and it's net safe. It's called net safe. So there's all different sites. Just if you go to lightduty.org, go to we're constantly adding stuff. Obviously, my full-time job keeps me busy, so I can't stay as up on it as I want to, because I do that as well. But I just try to aggregate stuff that I learn, and I try to just push it out to everybody. Our job is, like my one friend said that's honest, he's the computer crimes guy. He's like, I hope we're so successful we put ourselves out of business and that we don't have to do this anymore. So that's why we put all those resources on. It's not about light duty, it's about helping people, stop this. Because the prevention is obviously more than the cure, right?
Absolutely. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So I know that Bark is very popular. I have friends whose kids use them.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that iPhones are like the easiest for kids to hack?
I know.
Is it like going around safety features and things like that, or it doesn't matter?
The whole tech industry really is frustrating. I know iPhones, Nikki Reisberg with Scrolling to That she really doesn't like iPhones. She does say the Galaxy is tougher parental restrictions. So out of the two, that edges it a little bit from what she's telling me. So I don't know. The only safe one that I really know about is the Bark phone through her, and also to Tanya Jordan. She's another one that she has an Instagram channel that she's also promotes that. And then there's a guy, Killer Bee Tactical. He used to be a cop with cyber crimes, and he also promotes the Bark phone as the safest one. Yeah. But again, like, it's all about the parent-child interaction, you know? Don't do this, like, stay away from strangers, okay. And then if they don't, usually it's with why, because you don't have to tell them like the gory details of it, but like, just people just out there just don't want to harm you, like. And then I do, like, if it's a safe thing to explain to them, I'll show them an ad, like, or a news thing, like, hey, just so you know, this is what I'm doing, like, this is what I'm trying to warn you about. I'm not just a kook, you know, like a overbearing parent. So it helps to give them the reality, depending upon their age, of course.
Time for one more, Michelle.
Obviously, the internet issue is growing and huge, but as you said, most people are trafficked by people they know, whether within their family or their community or in their school even. And on that note as well, traffickers come in every shape and size. They can be teachers, they can be doctors, they can be clergy, they can be the most respected. They live great cover lives. Unfortunately, they can also be police officers as well. So what are your recommendations if you really suspect something's going on? From my understanding and all the research I've done, most trafficked people do not trust the police at all, for good reason. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't trust them, but should there be two resources that we would reach out to, or few resources, what would your recommendations be, and who to reach out to if we really suspect somebody's been trafficked?
So that's a very good question. You can never go wrong with victim advocacy. So get in contact with the DA's office. Usually has a victim witness coordinator. If you're iffy about going to the police, go to them. That's probably your biggest one. And if you don't know that, generally I'd have to think you'd know at least one police officer that you trust in your community that, you know, stands out to you as, hey, that's a good guy, like I can trust him or her. That whether it's a community policing officer, maybe it's a school resource officer, and then go through them. We just had a sextortion case. Lady called me from out, it wasn't even in my area, and she said, this is what happens, my relative, niece, nephew, and I don't know what to do, and I gave her that. I said exact same thing. I said, here's my problem. I go, you need to call the PD, but my worry is, and I'll pray about it, that you get in the right hands of the right officer. And this is how amazing God is. She calls, and they said, excellent, the person you want is our school resource officer, and they're not in school today, they're right here, and we're gonna put you in touch with them, and he does this stuff all the time. And I was like, she called me back, she was crying, she's like, I can't believe that. I said, that's how God works, right? Yes.
All right. I think we are out of questions, Rob. Okay. I'm amazed to hear that, but you know, you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's amazing how God calls us and how we have to run. You don't think, you don't look, you just run. And you know, I want you to think about this as we move forward. We've got a lot of things going on right now, nationally, on a statewide level, and in our communities. This is only one aspect of the evil that's out there. I mean, I just can't even believe, and Michelle and I have talked about this over the years. Human trafficking, sex trafficking, is such a travesty in our society, in our culture, and it's all because we've gotten so far skewed in this country. We're fat, we're lazy, and we have too much money. And as a result of that, we end up doing stupid things. You know, we have to fight it, and we have to expose it, and that's the first way we're going to fight it, is by exposing it. You know, we're seeing a lot of things right now, and a lot of people are scared. A lot of people are scared of what they're seeing. And what I mean by that is there are changes that are necessary in this country, and there are changes that have to happen. They have to happen now. There was a statement made by Milton Friedman, economist, Nobel laureate, and what he said was, one of the great mistakes is to judge policies and programs by their intentions rather than their results. Okay, we hear a lot of people running around right now saying how the things that are being done are going to destroy us, you know, and I'll be honest with you, I have a lot of friends, relatives, neighbors who are doing the same thing. These changes are necessary. What we see happening right now has needed to happen for quite a while. As of Saturday, our national debt was $36,773 billion. That's unrecoverable for a nation to continue to do. There is no way that we wouldn't fall off the financial precipice that we're on right now if we didn't do some things to correct that mess. And that mess was created by drunken spending and printing dollars that we don't have. That was done in Germany prior to World War II. And if you wanted to buy a loaf of bread, you could take $1 million marks in a wheelbarrow and maybe get a loaf of bread. We were headed for that. Unfortunately, those who want to keep the status quo going are fear-mongering and creating anxiety and stress, honestly, for a lot of people. You know, I heard a statement not too long ago. The stock market is not the economy, stupid, okay? The economy is totally different than what the stock market is an emotional response of people to what's going on in the world. The evil ones are using those manipulative techniques, and we can't let them prevail. You've got to get out. You've got to fight. You've got to talk to people, like I said to Steve just now. You know, we have a lot of friends, family. We know a lot of people. You need to tell them about what you heard tonight. You need to tell them about what Rob has shared with us, what Steve, what Nora has exposed to you. These are people that are standing up in the gap for what's right. So remember this as you leave tonight, and take solace in this fact. Ecclesiastes 11:14. When crime is not punished quickly, people feel that it's safe to do wrong. And we see too much of that today. I'm sorry I interject. But even though a person sins 100 times and still lives a long time, I know that those who fear God will be better off. The wicked will not prosper, for they do not fear God, for their days will never grow long like the evening shadows. And this is not all that's meaningless in this world. In this life, good people are treated as though they are wicked, and the wicked people are treated as though they are good. And this is so meaningless. We are here for a purpose. That purpose is to spread the truth. As our founders so eloquently stated, these truths are self-evident. I don't know how many people really understand what self-evident means, because I honestly didn't. So I looked it up. A self-evident truth is a statement that is understood to be true without needing proof or reasoning, often because its meaning is clear and obvious. Unfortunately, we have educators who are not willing to teach students how to think critically, and therefore they can't discern what is self-evident. They can discern what they're told to believe and to think. We need to fight that, and the right people in the right positions will allow us to do this. So I ask you to stand by the clear and obvious truths and not be swayed by half-truths, lies, and innuendos. Remember that as you move forward, because you're going to hear a lot of those in the coming year and a half. I thank you all for coming out tonight. I appreciate you, and I want you to ask and tell your friends and neighbors about STN. And join us again next month, because we're going to have another good speaker with us, as Michelle already said. We're going to give out another scholarship to a student who understands the Constitution and the biblical aspects that were incorporated into that Constitution. Our speaker next month, Rosalind Ross Williams, is from Americans for Prosperity. It's an amazing group, and what they're doing is pretty amazing. Gary, you've got something you want to add.
Yeah, we heard earlier that Michelle said that they were going out.
So thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. Yeah, so we were invited to participate. I've been invited to speak at that event, and I hope that we can get people to come out to actually support STN at that event. You know, just like all of our committees, it's so challenging to get people to commit the time, energy, contribution that needs to be done to make the changes that are necessary that we're working towards. All those changes that we just heard about tonight, I'm sorry. My day is still early. And, you know, the speakers that we had. So please feel free to come out to that event. Feel free to come out next month and hear what our guest speaker is going to say about Americans for Prosperity. If I could just add, the cool thing about this organization, they're unbiased as far as your party goes. They're looking for individuals who have like issues that they can coalesce with and move forward. And I feel strongly about that. I don't care what side of the aisle somebody's on, and I don't care about any of that. If we can coalesce over an issue, whether it be abortion or whatever it is, and move that needle forward, we need to do that. So again, thank you for coming out tonight, and please be safe traveling home, especially you guys traveling a distance. Thank you again, Rob. Appreciate you, brother. Take care, everybody.